I'm gonna teach you a step-by-step guide on how to study effectively because we all know one question almost every student has asked and probably has taken them so long to figure out is how do we study the right way? So the study cycle outlines only 5 steps to learning. Just 5 steps which you can follow regardless of the subject you're studying. First, preview. Before the start of the class, skim through the textbook or the lecture slides. Hindi mo naman kailangan intindihin lahat in depth yet. Just familiarize yourself with the lesson. Highlight the important terms or any concepts that you find difficult to understand. Bakit ate, ituturo din naman yan during class, parang sayang lang yung oras ko. This mindset is one of the reasons bakit hindi tayo nakikinig during class. We get overwhelmed by the lesson, we get bored, and then we zone out. But if you read before the class, kahit 10 minutes, 15 minutes lang yan, you already have an idea of the lesson, you'll know which parts to listen for, and you are better prepared to ask questions, especially on areas that are confusing or too difficult to understand on your own. Second, attend the class. And that doesn't mean just sitting, pretending to take notes, and waiting for the class to end, ha? I mean actively listen during class. And how do we do that? Ask yourself some questions. What is the main idea of this topic? Nakita ko na ba tong concept na to before? Think of the lecture as your first study session. When you pay attention in class, you don't need to spend so much time and effort studying later on. Third, review. Some studies recommend that you review the lesson as soon as you get home, but if you aren't able to do so, just make sure to review the lesson as soon as you can. Why? Spaced repetition. Remember, we studied before the class, we studied during class, and now we're studying after the class. By doing so, we're actually helping our brains retain the lesson for longer. Now, to strengthen your memory of that lesson even further, we don't just stop studying the lesson after a day. We need to study it at intervals. Again, spaced repetition. So let's say we preview the lesson today. We attended the class, and then we study the lesson at the end of the day. Tomorrow, read the lesson again. After 3 days, read it again. After a week, read it once more. Hindi mo naman kailangan aralin yung lesson for 3 hours, 5 hours all the time. 30 minutes going over the lesson, remembering the parts you've already forgotten, and researching where needed should be enough as long as you space out these study sessions. Last step, assess. After all your study sessions, test yourself. Use flashcards, solve practice problems, answer mock tests. This will allow you to see what you actually know versus what you just think you know. If you don't test yourself after your study sessions, you might think you know the lesson well enough until the exam humbles you and reminds you you actually don't.